Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear. This week we're talking about turning the off-season into the on-season for mental performance. Most colleges have wrapped up their semester. Most teams are done. We still have people in super regionals or running in different levels of nationals for track and different sports. But most of us are moving on to what feels like summer. Most schools are out over the next couple weeks, even for high schools and below. And even if you are in a business and you don't work on an academic year and you work on a fiscal year, the summer feels different. For some of us, it's the off season. And when we think of the off season, it may be a little bit slower or it may be very different, but we go into it with a different type of approach. And off certainly doesn't mean that we turn off. It means that we do and focus on different things. A break doesn't mean we stop. And it can be the most powerful time of the year if we really think about it. But before we get to how we can make the off season or on season for mental performance, let's talk about something that people like us don't do well, and that is true recovery. Research from Michigan, research from Santa Barbara, research from the American Psychological Association, research from all types of places show that recovery is vital to our leadership, to our decision making, to our well-being. But it's really hard to do. When we're out chasing that next recruit, or we're out chasing that next client, or we're out chasing that next win, or whatever it might be, we are afraid to take time off. In fact, for some of us, it doesn't feel right to sit down. I was at my dad's yesterday. He's got a couple acres. We mowed, we trimmed, we blew, we did all kinds of stuff. And then I came home and trimmed and did some other things. And why? I could have sat down and just relaxed. But it's hard for us to do. It's hard to turn off no matter what season we're in. But it is vital. Our brain needs rest to grow. So my question to all of you is, how do you plan to schedule in some recovery in this summer off season, which is really probably not an off season, but you get the point. Downtime isn't wasted time. In fact, it helps us adapt. And it also helps us use our responsibility a little bit better. It helps us choose one thought over the other a little bit better, and is the ultimate maintenance of our state, those 3 power moves that we talk about all the time. Rest isn't lazy. It is essential for optimal performance. And here's why. We need to give our brain space to breathe. We need to give our brains space to think without being directed. And it helps us improve our decision-making, our creativity. It helps us improve our memory and our emotional regulation. It allows us to integrate what we've learned, both physically and mentally. We know that when we sleep, those things called sleep spindles help us remember what we learned, and embeds it in our brain in a different way. It helps us consolidate memory and builds connections and turns learning into knowledge and our ability to actually use it into lasting change. Studies from the Harvard Business Review show that intentional reflection during rest phases improves performance more than continuous effort without reflection. This means that at times we need to chill on the constant grind, but we're afraid to do that. But I've been reading a ton lately for some reason, and my guess is because when things get in your feed, you get more and more, that Einstein, Churchill, Virginia Woolf, Steve Jobs, all of these people built space into their schedules to do nothing. Einstein says that some of his best discoveries were found when he was playing the violin, which for him would put him in a flow state, or on long walks. Same for Steve Jobs. Some of the greatest ideas come when we're standing in the shower or walking across campus. You know that it happens, but we fill our days with so much, and I am really, really bad at this. We think we need to be constantly learning or reviewing or whatever it might be. And sometimes we just need to chill. So I'm encouraging you to find a way to do that. The idea of breaking things out into time where we can sit in silence or in solace or go for a walk and listen to the birds and pay attention to the green or whatever it might be. This is all supported by the concept of our default mode network. All of a sudden I can't talk. Neuroscience backed, right? When we're not focused on an external task, our brain enters a mode that supports reflection, idea connection, and meaning making. And all of these things can make us a better leader, a better coach, a better athlete, whatever it is that we are. Taking some time is really, really important. We have to schedule it in. When are you going to do it? I went for a while whenever I would get in my car, I would turn the radio off for at least 5 minutes. I read it in the book, and they said that was really good for your reflection and just sort of chilling. And I started doing it. I would realize that, okay, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes, but I would end up driving the whole 35 minutes to campus without the radio on. And it's amazing the things that I came up with. I only wish that I had a recorder so I could record some of my thoughts at the time. And then I sort of figured out how to do that. But the bottom line is that we have to schedule it in, because it's in these gaps, it's in the stillness where strategy is born. So taking some time can help us turn this off season into the on season for mental training. And then we're going to take it one step further. This is a great time to build your mental performance operating system, or evaluate it if you already have one, because it's in the rush of the season that this stuff gets pushed aside. And it's in the rush of the season that we wish we had the skills or the tools or the things that we need to perform mentally, but we don't have time to dig into them when the scoreboard is running, or when practice is running, or when everyone is racing to the top in our business, whatever it might be. It's a great time during this time of the year to think about, what does our mental performance operating system look like? And we can start with an audit. Well, what's your mental performance operating system to begin with? Well, your phone has an operating system, and we need an operating system similarly, so that we know how we want to show up. We know how we want to compete. We know how we want to lead, and we have a system that holds us to that. So our system starts with our 3 power moves that I mentioned earlier: choosing one thought over the other, our ability to respond, and our ability to manage our state, and then all the tools that go along with that. And if we were to audit how well we do those things, these might be some questions. So we can figure out where we need to grow. Rate yourself, with 1 being weak or inconsistent and 5 being strong and consistent, on these 7 questions. If we look at our pre-practice, our pre-work, or whatever that routine would be, do we prime our mindset before stepping into work or workouts? Do we do this? Number 2, our focus, our reset tool. Do we have a go-to method for regaining our focus when we get distracted? Number 3, our self-talk system. Are we aware of our inner dialogue, and do we practice redirecting it? 1 to 5, how good are we at this? Let's look at the confidence stack. Do we intentionally build confidence through action and reflection? Are we building an evidence journal? Are we evaluating so that we know what works and allows us to feel, and then feel confident when we're acting competent? Number 5, presence. Are we able to be where our feet are and observe the variables around us that lead us towards success? Number 6, our personal recharge habits. Do we protect our own energy so that we can lead effectively? And then finally, number 7, do we have a system for evaluating what worked and what needs to grow? Once we evaluate those, we can look and see, okay, where do we rate ourselves on a 1 to 5 scale? Those would be our off-season areas for growth. And I would love to listen or learn what yours are, because I'm offering a 30-minute free coaches session on May 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can sign up at SSB Performance. If you go to ssbperformance.com/mindset tips, the link is in this week's tip. And it's also, if you get emails from me, it will also be in the email. But I would love to know where your areas of growth are, so that we can direct our conversation toward those things. But if you think about it, if we progress even in only one of these areas, we will show up at our next season, whatever that season looks like for us, better than we left the last season. Because if we're able to reset, if we're able to be more present, if we're able to communicate, if we're able to decide what our pre-performance or pre-work routines are so that we get set in and prepared to step into the arena, we're going to be better. And then we can take it one step further. And here are some questions I sent home with one of my elite soccer clubs that I work with to help them tweak or work on their tools in their off season, which we hope is their on season. And the 3 simple tools that we talked about, that if we even started with one of these, we would be in business, are mental rehearsal, self-talk upgrades, and then confidence jar or evidence tracker. So with our mental rehearsal, what skills, our moments, our emotions do we want to rehearse this summer? And when are we going to do it? Because it's important that we schedule it. If we don't schedule it, it won't get done, just like everything else. We need to be specific. With our self-talk upgrades, what phrase or phrases will you use when you struggle? Maybe you have a phrase for this, but we've talked in the past about having scripts ready so that when we get into a debate in our head, we don't have to come up with who we are and what we want to do to talk about what we want. We are ready on the double when we start to struggle. And then number 3, the confidence jar or evidence tracker. What will you track each day? Will it be your effort, your growth, small wins, and how we reflect on these things weekly? How do you gather evidence, or how will you gather evidence? What do you consider evidence to be moving toward the person you're working to be in the on season, not the off season? Once we know what we want to see, we can reflect on these things. And maybe we do this once a week. It wouldn't take very long. And you hear a lot of top performers talk about how they start their week and how they stop their week. This might be a great thing to do at the end of the week or at the beginning of a new one. But there's a very simple checklist that can help us stay on track and measure our progress, because we know if we don't measure it, it doesn't matter. What mental reps did I do this week? What's one thing that I rehearsed? What did I notice about my self-talk? And one thing that I said to myself that helped was, fill in the blank. What went well this week? My effort, attitude, behavior, growth, whatever you want to be looking at. What was my confidence level like this week on a scale of 1 to 10? And why? Why was it at that level? And then what do I want to improve on in the coming week? And what's one simple way I can do this? You could probably answer those questions in 5 to 7 minutes. And I bet you that every one of us has 5 to 7 minutes in the off/on season. And if we repeat this time and time again, we're starting to build a system, a mental performance operating system that will be installed fully and had some trial and error by the time the season rolls around, and we need to be our best. So the off season is a great time to work on things. Our mental performance doesn't just show up when the scoreboard turns on. We need to be working on it now. And I'm sorry if you hear a dog barking. When my son walks in the door, the dog goes bonkers, and that's what's going on upstairs right now. But if we want to show up more intentionally next season, if we want to lead with clarity and energy, if we want to perform with clarity and energy and confidence and competence and competitiveness, if we want our athletes to respond and be their very best and rise to their level of what they really can do when the pressure comes on, this is a great time to build that mental performance operating system. So I will be sending out the link to meet on Wednesday, May 28th, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Join me free. We'll talk about implementing your mental performance operating system for you, leader, you, coach, and then keep your eye open for a free session for your athletes. I hope that you'll share that with anyone with whom you lead. That will be coming next week, and we'll get all the details to you on that. In the meantime, let's make the off season the best season yet, because this is a great time to be able to use a little bit of time to recover and let our brain soak up everything that we've experienced and then turn that into strategy and genius for the next year. We want to start now to get where we need to be next year. That doesn't mean that we get back into the constant grind. But these little things that we can do can set us up for success. So we need to rest, recover, reset, and be ready when the scoreboard turns on with our system and with us at our best. So use the off season as your mental performance on season, and that'll make the next season a little bit better. Have a great week.